of several things. SDMX is one of them, like many other people around here. But also machine and deep learners, I'm not saying AI, but deep learners, just nice neural networks when it's needed. And of course, using languages like R, Python, and of course, VTL, now becoming very much more easy due to Python, in fact. So the principle is, if you want to do data validation in many, many instances for many, many data sets, normally this is not a very well-defined thing, because the data validation is confronting the data with a set of demands, put it simply. And then it means that this confrontation is data dependent. And you don't want to create a set of confrontations for each data that you might encounter in production on throughout. So what do you do then? Do you create 60,000 data validation sets of rules? How do you do that, and who's going to do that? And the idea behind our work was that we can use a unique method. We cannot use a unique set of rules, but a unique method, which can be highly automated in addition. And this, I think, is what we bring new to this table. We can have then multiple sources of validation rules for any data set, for any data instance, wherever we are in the production process. And we can do that in several ways, which you will see in a moment. So, and in addition to validation rules, we can use more interesting quotation marks methods like hunting for anomalous data points to check if something wrong is going on in the data. And also find significant association rules from the data, because you start from the idea that most of your data is okay. Just some of the records or some of the fields will have some errors. So then it means you can learn from itself, automatically, of course. And yeah, as I said, using open source code. And so this is a representation. I hope you see something here. Yeah, better than me on the screen. Okay. So this is a representation of the fact that I was describing, that at each of these stages, like sourcing or analysis or dissemination or staging, all these steps throughout a data life point, you have to do, in principle, a validation to create a trustable quality end result. And you don't want to start with the bad data. You have to first check whether you are getting what you thought you are getting. And that at different stages, you want to make sure that you are starting your analysis or your staging with what you thought you start with. And of course, you don't disseminate without checking carefully. And this means, for example, this confrontation or hunting for anomalies, that means you need these rules at each stage. That also means that once you manage to collect these rules in a unique way, but with many, many results, you have to keep an eye on the rule themselves, how they flow, how to manage them, where to put them in a database, obviously, we think. And then, of course, to do this confrontation. And here is the grand picture in a simplified way, actually. So you have many sources for your rules. You can have manuals and documents from Eurostat because, well, we all have to deliver something there. But you also have a grand source, which is the SDMX registry. And you have the data structure and the code lists. And those will tell you everything you need, more or less, about how your data should look like. You might need to map things if you apply this, the rules you extract from the data structure and from the code list. You might need to map them to the actual state of your data. Maybe the names of your variables are different, and so on, but that's details. Let's not worry about that. You might have expert rules. The people in the domain, statistical domains, have very strong opinions and very strong knowledge that might impose some rules. And okay, yeah, the data itself, because I said you will do discovery of association rules or discovery of anomalies in it. And you have many methods to do that. I don't have to teach you that. And most importantly, nice tools, which are open source in R. And you heard already about VTL engine and RSDMX. Some grand packages which we like from Statistics Netherlands, which are validate and validate suggest packages, and that some A rules and some maybe deep learners for finding anomalies. So Python or R are the languages of choice. This is a picture where you see the tools in action more, depending on what the source is, and you see exactly what kind of tool you might. We made a proof of principle, and we tried all these things, and we shared them on our GitHub that is mentioned on one of the slides as exercises and snippets of code. Code is very simple. Here is the database rules that some technical expert like my colleague is in charge with. This is just a vague picture of it. Of course, it's much more complex than that because you have to keep track of what they are, what the rules are, give them some IDs, where are they from, and all kinds of other attributes about each of them. So you must be careful about that. You might be extra careful and even hope to add disclosure control rules if you are ambitious. This might be a direction. Here are some simple codes, again, showing, like our colleagues before, that just a few lines of code can solve a lot for you, very few. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much for this other very convincing presentation on VTL. I think it's good advocacy for the solution. It's good advocacy also for Python and the open sourcing of solutions. I think organizations that put a solution into package and libraries deserve a lot of credit for that when they publish that on GitHub. So thank you. Next presentation is by Daniele. Yep. You have the... So Daniele Olivotti from UNICEF, talking about driving automation with SDMX and UNICEF State of the World Children's Statistical Compendium.
Okay, good afternoon. Today I would like to present how we use the SDMX to create publishable report that can be printed and can be disseminated. In particular, I will focus on the State of the World Children, that is the UNICEF flagship publication that contains important indicators on the situation of children around the world. It contains 23 tables of data, around 200 indicators, more than 200 countries and regions. So this means a lot of data that needs to be, of course, correct and needs to be consistent, correct, and ready to be published and seen by policymakers, researchers, and the public. How was the process in the past? You can guess it. Excel was involved in the process. So indicators were manually extracted from different data sources, copied and pasted in an Excel template, and then handed over to designers that were copying and pasting again in design software like InDesign. So each step, each copy and paste can introduce errors, and you can imagine, let's say, new indicators were updated, new data were coming from the countries, another round of emails, another round of copy and paste, and I was actually surprised that the amount of errors was very low. So good work from my colleagues that checking every step. Okay, the role of SDMX, how we made it better using SDMX. Our SDMX is always up to date, so we have the latest. We are sure that the latest data is available in SDMX. It's the single source of truth for our data. And let's say that State of the World Children, the publication of State of the World Children is just one of the many possible outputs that we can have with SDMX. We can publish in dashboards, we can publish in websites, we can publish in applications and so on. The process now, we have a configuration file that just maps an API call. So we can say, give me this data set. It is mapped to a single column of the publication, as you can see in the screenshot. Data is pulled from the SDMX API, and the output is already a PDF format. So no more design involved, no more copying and pasted. If a new dataset comes in, we just hit a button again, and we regenerate the full publication. So no manual work and reduced error. This is an example, the API call. We're asking the registry, okay, give me child mortality, under 5 mortality rate for Afghanistan, male, in 2021, and it is just put in the, of course, sorted and put in the column. But with minimal effort, we can produce a lot of other reports. So, for example, State of the African Children, similar publication, just focused on the situation in Africa. So we are focusing on countries in Africa and aggregates, regional aggregates that are important for the African countries. And we just need, to change images, the narrative, and the configuration files. Again, we hit a button and we have the publication. In summary, important, SDMX is our single source of truth. We are applying the COPE principle, so we create once, we put the data once in our registry, and we publish to different channels. Automation is important. It reduces errors, improves reproducibility. So if we spot an error in the publication, we are sure that the error was or in the source data, very unlikely to be in the process. Efficiency, one click, we publish the data. Imagine the data that was lost in all the email exchanges, copying and pasting, checking. Reusability, we can reuse the same backbone for other reports, and we can easily produce multi-language output. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniele. That was brief and very, very convincing as well. I think a lot of us are still relying a lot on printed publication for disseminating data, and that will stay for many years. So saying that SDMX can automate this painful process is good news for everyone. So thanks a lot for that. We're now moving to the presentation by Turkstad. So the presentation will be about the journey end-to-end implementation for local needs. So I guess it will cover the whole data lifecycle in your organization by Ezgi Sena Ertuğ, sorry, I'm trying, and Cüneyt Kurt. So I don't know who starts. You have 10 minutes together. Thank you.
Thank you. Today we will talk about our journey of SDMX. My name is Cüneyt Kurt, and here my colleague Ezgi Sena Ertuğ. First of all, we will start our motivation, why we choose SDMX path, why we start this project. At first, we need a dissemination system. We have nearly 15-year dissemination backbone, and we need to refresh it. Also, we have a lot of demands of data for researchers, or they need web services, they need data in different formats. And we choose the SDMX path for these reasons. SDMX brings you a database structure, standardized database structure, you don't need to think about how these tables will be, how this process will be. Also, STMX gives you web services. STMX gives you web services for disseminate your data to machine, to other stat units. And latest nearly 5 or 4 years, STMX gives you browsers, data browsers, data explorer. It is very plus for choosing STMX, and we choose for these reasons. At start, in Turkstat we have some standardized projects. For example, Arzemli is our data collection platform. Uses DDI for generating data collecting programs. This Arzemli project gives us a vision of standardizing elements are good. We should standardize all of GSPPM phases. In Turkstat, also at initial state, we are using STMX, but every unit using different STMX things. For example, some of them using Excel, some of them changing their STMX manually with Notepad or something. But one unit do something, other units don't know the phases, the parts. Why we did a new system? I told that that brings common language, transparency, reliability. It's efficiency and speed, and we are software developers. It brings us more speed for data software developing at these phases. If we don't use the STMXRI, we have to develop new systems for just disseminating our data. And global alignment is Turkstat always based on standards, but you have to do extra effort to get these standards. So this path will be our standards. We try to standards first approach. We move step by step. We don't use a solution of package. We have our unique institutional fits, and we developed some approaches for this. This is a simple vision of our system. We have DMAS is our metadata editor. We write the code of STEM. It's like STMX toolkits MDM, ISTAT MDM. We have also Pusula. Pusula is our data preparation and validation application. It can use SAS, R, or some other data processing language. We use data browser. We use ISTAT's data browser for this time. We change its front end, but we use the data browser software at backend. And STMXRI is all of the backbone of all of the processes. Sena will continue in detail.
Hello. DMAS, our main system for metadata definition. It is inspired by ISTAT Toolkit, and we basically use the same data structure with ISTAT Toolkit, but we changed its interface and created service layers from the stretch. We wanted to have a flexible structure because in TürkStat we use an approval application nearly for all of our applications, and we also have role-based validation. So we wanted to have a flexible system so we can easily adapt this to our system. With DMAS, we can basically create conceptions, DSDs, mappings, and data flows. We have also another application. Pusula is already used by our producer departments. They use it to do some database operations, and also they can use it for data analysis, process data, tracking logs, and another operations similar to this. So we thought that in this way, by using Pusula, we can reduce the developer workload. And also our producer departments are familiar with the interfaces of Pusula. We add 2 steps, which is related with the STMX, and they can validate their data. Once they create their metadata in the MAS, they can map their data set. So they can validate if their data is suitable for codeless or not. These 2 steps are automated by Pusula. And we have also another process, and it is to transfer our data to the STMX database. And after completed these steps, they can move to another step. After validating our data, we can transfer to the publication step. Actually, to visualize our data, we use Data Browser. It is an open source tool from ISTAT. We changed its interface a little bit according to our institutional needs. So we thought that it could be more user-friendly for our producer departments. And we also installed and tested .stat suite and ISTAT Toolkit at the same time. And we examined and tested both of them, but we realized that it could be easier for us to adapt ISTAT Toolkit to our system. So we wanted to go with it. And there were some challenges that we faced during this project. For example, it was more like trial and error for us. We had some difficulties because we need to learn everything from the stretch, from the beginning. So we took some courses, and also there are some colleagues that help us a lot to move. They were from ILO, OECD, and StatSuite, and ISTAT. And also relying on Excel was not sustainable for us, so we wanted to have a direct database-driven integration by using Pusula. So our next step, now we can say that in TürkStat we have end-to-end STMX system, and we have fully integrated, sustainable, and automated system. And we also published some statistics by using our new STMX system. Right now, we can say that we have at least 60 data flow that are defined. And our next step is to move our old data dissemination system MEDAS to our new system. Step by step, we are planning to support our producer departments to move their data. And also we are currently working on another application, which is a web portal. And we are planning to use it to show our data, which we published in our new XTMX system. And we hope our experience can serve as a model for the countries with the same need. Thank you for listening and for your support.
Thank you very much. That sounds like a lot of software development in-house. So congratulations for that. Now we're going to move to the last but not least presentation by Kun Tidaratnan Singh about modernization and automation of pipelines within NSO in Thailand.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to be here in Rome, Italy. Today, I will present about modernized statistical processes with SMX compliant automated pipeline. It's just Thailand NSO case. Oh, I forgot to. My name is Tidaratnan Singh from Bangkok, Thailand. In this presentation, I will cover main topics For background of work on SMX in Thailand and SO, next some use case and success story where explain where SMX find in the why we decide to develop. Finally, we will share about the conclusion and next step. You can see that TNSOS SIMX journey we have began in 2011. We interesting to exchange data among government in Thailand, and later in 2013, we develop our interesting SIMX. We have training by Abdullah from UNSD. Thank you so much. At that time, we could export our MDG data via SMX API. Since then, Thailand NSO had actively promoted the adoption of SMX standard. Building on this foundation, we expand our role as central agency responsible for integrating and consolidating statistical data from government body across the country. Our goal has always been prepare and disseminate data according to SMX standard. Since 2023, we reached a major milestone with the government data catalog. The system integrates data from over 200 of government agencies nationwide, consolidating it into centralized platform using CCAN. The data is then disseminated according to SMX standard to our statistical sharing hub. In 2024, we launched a data integration project that significantly improved our internal processes, especially in data collection and data preparing that I will show in our next slide. This slide as we continue for our SMX journey. This image highlights several key moments of our collaboration and learning over the years. Each photo represents a step in our continuous effort to improve Thailand and SO staff in line with workshop and training capacity building both domestically and internationally. You can see the management provide support for us to compiling data in accordance with SMX standards and acknowledge the advantages of SMX in our office. About use case and success story, our past use case success story including actively adopting SMX standard by developing key IT tool. I use a website from smx.org for educate and building SMX compliant data interface, training staff, and migration legacy datasets categorized by international indicator. Now we're covering 21 statistical sector and area into standardized formats, which are now public and accessible via Statistics Sharing Hub. You can see the website. Now let's look at our current workflow at the challenge we face in implement SMX. For this SMX state in Thailand in SO, we taking several key steps, just calling data from government data catalog platform, create data structure, definition, and preparing data according to SMX standard. Even this effort, we still encounter several obstacles. Currently, there is no unified system for SMX file preparation, and much of our workflow rely on manual processing. In short, manual processing diverse data format and gap in automation create heavy workload and slow down update. To overcome this issue, we launched the data integration project aiming to transform the entry process into automated SMX. This project aims to create sentence service for convert data from unstructured source file and into machine readable structured file, and to create data visualization service with various graph format to display data, and to create a system for collecting statistical using automated tool. You can see the solution deployment and deliver of data integration project. This slide show overall picture that how we have used to form the data integration project to prepare our data in line with SMX standard. It illustrates how each step is connected, making the whole process more consistent and streamlined. I show about the pipeline step in our system in the data integration. We just have used the data integration technology such as we have data source, diverse official statistic input, and automate with RPA and Airby connector, and transforming we use DBT map to SMX CSV standard. And after that, the Dexter schedule and automate task. And then we export standardized data share to statistic sharing hub for dissemination. Our challenge, I think it's not up this slide, but it's okay. Data source diversity is the challenge of us. We rely for multiple source which make consolidation difficult. Limited automation only few tools current, and we have to decrease pipeline gap using data integration. About the conclusion, we have the modernized statistical workflow across government, enhance accessibility, reliability, and automation aligned with SMX standard, and support integrate policy making and dissemination. Also, we plan to expand role for AI data validation, report check, and expanded AI analytics. This brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope this insight for you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very, very much. Maybe we can take 1, 2, 3 burning questions. The questions that are not burning, keep them for the tea, coffee time. That will happen in 5 minutes ago. Louis? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You can hear me? I'm Ruth Koku, African Development Bank. I have a burning question for Daniel, UNICEF. I really like your presentation. I want to know the publication. You managed to publish that without any graphic designer? You manage yourself for text, photo, table, and chart? I want this confirmation. Thank you.
Is there any other burning question? Okay, then it's all to you, Daniela, and then coffee and tea.
Okay, thank you. So the publication was created by designers since the beginning. The State of the World Children has been around for several years. What we did actually was to take what has been done by the designer, replicate the design. So we knew that in this position there is an image, the table has like, say, 10 columns, and we replicated everything in a Python script. So the Python script is actually, when you hit up the button, it's creating the PDF template, injecting the values in the columns. So yes, at the moment, the publication is, we don't pass through any designer anymore. We just change the images, point the configuration file to the new images, and everything is done without but we use the previous version of the. So there was some designer in the past. Now there is no one involved anymore.
Thank you, Daniele. I'm sure that this answers your questions, Luis, and satisfies you fully. So thank you very much for your attention, participation, and thank you again to the 8 teams who presented.
Okay, you can sit now. We are going to start. I'm very happy to have this session now and to moderate because we just have your coffee break. So we are full of energy. So we can start. And I'm Luis Kwaku, Manager, University Department, African Development Bank. And I will moderate this session. The title is SDMS Capacity Building. It is an important topic. And we are here for a week, and we are going to have 2 days for capacity building. That means it's very important, this session. And the objective of this session, first, is to hear from some organization, OECD, IMF, UNSD, and Asia Development Bank, what they are doing in terms of capacity building, what we are doing, and what are the challenges, and what are the way forward. And we want to make this session very interactive. So we are going to have some Slido pull. So, and we'll ask you to respond. So it should be very interactive. And so today, I'm with me 4 distinguished people who know what we are talking about when we speak about SDMS. So the first one is Nile from IMF, and Abdullah from UNSD. I know Abdullah since many years, more than 15 years. And Jonathan from OECD, and Nile, Stefan from Asia Development Bank. Thank you for joining us. And I told you, we want to make this session very interactive. So we are going to start with the first question to the audience, not to the panelists. So the first question is, what is the single most important need for your organization to advance SDMS adoption? So use your phone and scan the QR code and share your feedback with us. Is it fine? I can, 1 minute. We'll keep the QR code throughout the presentation. I can move the slide now. Okay. We will now turn to our panelists, each of whom will share a brief 3 to 5 minutes. You have 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah.
Sometimes the Wi-Fi is not working. I suggest that you switch to the mobile network, and it works. It's on the other slide.
Okay. Okay. So you have 3 to 5 minutes to make your presentation. And I will start with Jonathan. Jonathan, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. So yeah, you know who I am probably by now. I've already been up here. So I'm going to expand more on the .stat Academy and our approach at the OECD, which I alluded to a little bit yesterday. So with the .stat Academy and the approach that we're taking in capacity building, we're really taking this more learner-centered mindset and a trainer-centered mindset. So you can see these 2 centers sort of part of the hive, if you like, here of activity. In the learner-center mindset, it's about, and also talked about this analyzing and understanding what their needs are. So seeking and analyzing feedback, adapting our approach to learning, creating new content, new services that meet their needs, and really, continuously developing good quality and relevant material. On the trainer side, I mean, there's a lot of experts in this room. We're all quite time poor. It's you know, maybe we don't understand really and limited experience in how to actually construct good learning material in the right way. We're good at maybe PowerPoints or technical documentations, but actually turning that into something that's digestible and understandable by most people can be challenging. So it's our approach here is to really empower them, give them the tools and knowledge to be able to become good trainers and help to sort of deliver good quality training. And this has been one success factor that we've built into the DIA Academy especially. At the bottom there under the hive, you can see this open knowledge building. And in our new strategy where we developed this knowledge and ourselves in actually developing training and delivering training, we're adding this as a new foundation to our foundations that we have already. We take a blended approach. So this is about self-paced learning. So the DIA Academy is a self-paced environment where you can go online and register and do this quite easily. Now with the XTMX lab, which you'll see in the next 2 days, it's going to really enhance that experience where we could actually, you know, provide more hands-on practice as well and more even self-paced environment where you can do this in a highly efficient way where you don't have to worry about the technical sort of delivery of a solution. And in this process also we've developed you know, reference concepts and documents, guidelines that actually help to inform the XTMX community more widely, and in particular around data governance. This is an important subject, and I think this has also been mentioned a few times. And on the left, you can see the figures, so I don't need to read those to you, but you can see that we're quite successful and we continuously grow. The numbers are even gone beyond these numbers that I put on the slide since a few days. I think people are interested to take it before the capacity building on Thursday, Friday, so thank you for that. And then on the right, you know, the DIA Academy especially, and what we're doing is really designing learning paths that meet their needs. So understanding who they are, and again, goes back to the feedback loop, and designing these the sort of paths to allow them to build knowledge and skills over time. And as we move forward, and we discussed a lot about AI, so we want to really sort of bring AI into this and how we can sort of simplify that learning process potentially here as well, and also embrace AI technologies to be more adaptive in the learning experience. And from success stories, so these are just 3 of many. I just wanted to highlight these here, and there was a presentation, a couple of presentations actually today you saw from Madagascar and colleagues from Samoa and Fiji, where this environment and the practice and the community approach actually has served as a prerequisite into actually helping to build this capacity across the world. And we'll continue to do this. And this has really been something that to have this prerequisite in place has allowed us to do it efficiently that you couldn't do with traditional methods at the cost that it is today. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Jonathan, for the impressive figures you show us on the DIA Academy. Thank you very much. Now I turn to Abdullah. Abdullah, what UNSD is doing in terms of capacity building?
Yeah, thank you, Luis. At UNSD, we have an extensive capacity building program for national statistical offices. The funding comes from various sources, from extra budgetary projects, from donor funding, as well as from the UN's own regular program for technical cooperation. In the case of SDMX, our focus for the last 15 years or so has been on global development indicator frameworks. We had an extensive training on the MDGs between 2010 and 2015, and since 2015 we have provided a lot of training with a special focus on sustainable development goals indicators, but not limited to that. We try to, as much as possible, as much as the parameters of our project permit, we try to focus on the needs and circumstances of each country. As I hope you have realized since yesterday, SDMX is very scalable and flexible and adaptable. Different countries have different circumstances and different solutions may be most appropriate to each country. We try to follow that. To give you an example, we often target statisticians, and I will explain why, and try to empower statisticians to take charge of their data processes. Because in the development countries, it's often very difficult to retain IT personnel. So that's a real problem there. And what we found was that in many countries, by targeting statisticians, you create more sustainable processes. And finally, there is a focus on partnerships. We work with other development agencies, with other international agencies a lot, and I think that the success of many of our programs is largely owed to that partnership. We partnered with OECD and UNICEF, for example, and I think that the success of the project in Thailand owes a lot to that particular partnership. We have worked a lot with of course, our friends at Regional Development Bank, African Development Bank, and Asian Development Bank, where we have had many capacity building initiatives. We have worked and continue to work a lot with the UN Regional Commissions, Economic Commission for Africa, Economic Social Commission for Western Asia, Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. These are the three with whom we have had the most extensive capacity building programs. We get each other's strength, each other's expertise, each other's resources. And I think that, as we already explained in the morning presentation, SDMX makes it possible to cooperate quite efficiently. So what are the challenges? The global indicator frameworks are very extensive, very complex, and the data modeling is complex. But on the flip side, whatever data modeling challenges there are possible, we have experienced them, and that enabled us to make a contribution to the development of the SDMX standard, especially versions 3.0 and 3.1. High turnover of personnel, that's a real problem in developing countries, and again, there are ways of getting around it. Maybe the most fundamental issue is that in many statistical offices, many of them lack a strategy for dissemination or data exchange. And that means that the capacity building efforts, they don't always take off in a big way as much as we would like to. Sometimes they do remain isolated and they don't lead to an institutional change. And the lack of resources, I think that this sounds very, very familiar to everyone in this audience, so I don't want to elaborate on that. Success stories, I don't want kind of to name the names, but a number of countries have established very well functioning dissemination platforms. And what our hope has been is that the MDG and SDG will serve as a spark that will lead the countries to adopt a broader SDMX-based dissemination programs, and that has worked in some cases. Not in all the cases, but in some cases it has worked, and that those are the ones that make me proud. We've seen that basically as offices implement SDMX-based dissemination and data exchange, that is accompanied by improved data management. Again, we've seen how SDMX and other standards facilitate international cooperation. I won't elaborate on that. And again, last but not least, these capacity building projects enabled us to make contributions to further development of the standard and the tools. So thank you, and my thanks go to the countries whom I have been fortunate enough to work on a number of capacity development projects, as well as partners, without whom this would not have been possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. I confirm the partnership. And, you know, in terms of challenging, you said you didn't want to develop for resources, but in Africa, we put that number one. So I'm going to we call IMF NIL. NIL, we have a strong partnership with IMF since 2015. We did a lot together, and almost 2 years ago, we started a capacity building project with IMF on big data for macroeconomic statistics. We join our effort, and it is a successful story. Maybe we are going to extend that to SDMS now. Huh, Marco? Okay, so now you have the floor.
Thank you, Lewis. I feel a little bit conflicted about using slides in a panel discussion, so it's just one, and I'll try to zip through quickly. We've been in the SDMX space working with countries for quite a while, as Lewis said. Our approach, traditional approach, is outdated, inflexible, and not really sustainable, right? So